Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Treasure Hunters and Coin Lovers. If you're passionate about uncovering hidden gems in your coin collection, then you're in for a real treat today. We're diving deep into a coin that's over half a century old but still turning heads in the collector world, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1954. You may have seen one before or even have one tucked away in a drawer. But what if I told you that this humble little penny could be worth a life-changing amount of money? Before we talk about its current value, let's take a journey back in time to understand why this particular penny holds such fascination. The year was 1954, America was in a post-war boom. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, Elvis Presley had just recorded his first single, and television was beginning to change the way people lived. Amidst all this cultural and economic growth, the U.S. Mint continued striking Lincoln wheat pennies, a coin that had already been circulating for over 4 decades. The Lincoln wheat penny was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than the traditional representations of liberty. On the obverse, or front of the coin, we see Lincoln's profile facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," arching over his head, "Liberty," to the left, and the year of minting to the right. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the classic wheat ears design that gives this penny its nickname. 2 stylized stalks of wheat curved inward, flanking the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. This design symbolizes the country's agricultural roots and the enduring strength of the American people. Now, let's talk about the mint marks. In 1954, Lincoln wheat pennies were struck in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins minted in Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those struck in Denver have a small D beneath the date, and those from San Francisco carry an S. While all 3 versions are collectible, it's the condition and rarity that make all the difference when it comes to value. You see, millions of these pennies were produced for everyday use. They jingled in pockets, paid for soda pop and movie tickets, and passed through thousands of hands. That's why finding a 1954 wheat penny in poor or average condition won't fetch more than a few cents or maybe $1 or $2. But when one is found in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, or even better, with a rare minting error, that's when things get exciting. Some of these coins have what collectors call double die errors, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the striking process. Others have off-center strikes or other anomalies that occurred at the mint. These mistakes, though unintentional, turn a regular penny into a collector's dream. And then there's the Holy Grail, the 1954 wheat penny in flawless condition, with sharp details, full original luster, and no signs of circulation. Add a rare mint mark or error into the mix, and you've got a true numismatic treasure. Now, you might be wondering, just how much could one of these old pennies actually be worth? Well, you'll want to check your change drawer after hearing this, because in one exceptional case, a pristine 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, featuring an extraordinary minting error and preserved in perfect uncirculated condition, was valued and sold for an eye-popping amount. Are you ready for it? That 1-cent coin sold for an unbelievable $67,000. Yes, you heard that right. $67,000. For a penny. It just goes to show, what looks like ordinary pocket change could be a small fortune hiding in plain sight. So, go ahead, check those coin jars, sift through that old collection you inherited, and pay close attention to dates and mint marks. Who knows? You might be holding a coin that's worth thousands of times its face value. Today, we're turning our attention to a small copper coin that might be hiding in your collection, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. It's old, it's historic, and if you're lucky enough to have the right one, it could be worth a shocking amount of money. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny. But don't be fooled, this coin carries with it a legacy of wartime America, rare minting details, and collector value that could make you look twice at the change in your pocket. So stay with us as we uncover the hidden history, features, and the massive price tag that one of these copper beauties once fetched. Let's begin by stepping back into the year 1945. World War II was coming to an end, and Americans across the country were holding their breath for peace. Factories were still focused on wartime production, resources like metal were tightly controlled, and yet, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins for circulation, including the iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny, the Wheat Penny design, introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person. On the front of the coin is the familiar profile of Lincoln, facing right, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, in this case, 1945. Flip the coin over and you'll find the classic wheat reverse, with two curved wheat stalks bordering the words, 1 cent and United States of America. It's simple but strong, a reminder of America's agricultural roots and its resilience during trying times. This design remained in place until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. The 1945 wheat penny was struck in 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your coin was minted in Philadelphia, it won't have any mint mark below the date. Coins from Denver will show a small D, and those from San Francisco will have an S. Now, here's where things get exciting. While hundreds of millions of 1945 pennies were minted, over 1 billion, actually, most of them were heavily circulated. They passed through the hands of soldiers, farmers, schoolteachers, and factory workers. Because of this, finding one in excellent condition today is extremely rare. Collectors are always on the hunt for coins with sharp, undamaged details and full original luster, what numismatists call uncirculated or mint state. But beyond condition, there's something else that can make a 1945 penny skyrocket in value, and that's minting errors. During the rush of wartime production, errors were more common than people realize. Coins could be struck off-center, have doubled images, or contain planchet defects. A double die error, where the coin's image is accidentally imprinted twice in slightly different positions, can make a regular penny worth thousands. Combine that with a rare mint mark or an unusually high grade, and you've got something truly special. Collectors especially cherish 1945 pennies with a strong strike, minimal contact marks, and rich, original coloring. The most valuable coins are often certified and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, with a high MS mint state rating. The higher the grade, the higher the value, but here's the twist: among all these common cents, there are a few exceptional pieces that stand out from the crowd. These are the coins that have never been touched by circulation, that still gleam with their original mint brilliance, and may even have a one-of-a-kind flaw that makes them ultra-rare. And now, after all that build-up, it's time to answer the question you've been waiting for: just how much can a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth? Well, in one extraordinary case, a flawless example of this penny, boasting a rare mint state grade and extraordinary preservation, was sold for a jaw-dropping $73,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single copper penny from 1945, a coin that might have once bought a stick of gum or a stamp, now worth more than some brand new cars. So, what does this mean for you? If you have a collection of old pennies, it might be time to take a second look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the condition. You never know, a coin you thought was just an ordinary piece of change might turn out to be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Today, we're going to explore a coin that marked the end of an era in American currency, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Don't underestimate it just because it's a penny. This little copper coin may look ordinary, but what lies beneath the surface might surprise you. Now, grab your magnifying glass and stay with us, because we're going deep into the world of numismatics to reveal why the 1958 wheat penny could be one of the most valuable coins hiding in your collection. Let's travel back to the late 1950s. The United States was in a post-war boom. Elvis was climbing the music charts, the space race was heating up, and cars were getting fins. Meanwhile, over at the U.S. Mint, a quiet but historic change was taking place. The wheat ear reverse design, which had been on the back of the Lincoln penny since 1909, was about to be retired. That makes 1958 a very important year. It was the final year the wheat design would ever appear on a U.S. penny. In 1959, the reverse side was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, commemorating 150 years since Abraham Lincoln's birth. So, that 1958 wheat penny you might have overlooked? It's actually the last of its kind. Now let's talk about design. On the front of the coin, we have the same powerful profile of Abraham Lincoln that Americans had seen on their pennies for nearly 50 years by that point. Along the top is, "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" on the left and the year, 1958, on the right, just under the mint mark. If there is one dot, flip it over, and there's that iconic wheat reverse, two bold wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. It's simple. It's classic. And it represents a deep connection to American heritage, both agricultural and historical. Now, when it comes to mint marks, here's what you should look for. The 1958 wheat pennies were struck in two mints, Philadelphia and Denver. If your coin doesn't have a mint mark beneath the date, it was made in Philadelphia. If it has a small d, then it came from Denver. Both versions were produced in massive quantities, over 250 million from Philadelphia and more than 800 million from Denver. That might make you think the coin isn't worth much. But here's where the real story begins, because even though there were hundreds of millions produced, not all of them were created equal. The vast majority were used in daily transactions, passed from hand to hand, shoved into pockets, spent at candy shops, and dropped into piggy banks. Most 1958 pennies today are heavily worn or tarnished, but among those billions of coins, a tiny percentage were never touched. These are the coins that were pulled straight from the mint and carefully preserved. They have crisp details, bright original shine, and no scratches or wear. These are what collectors call mint state coins, and they're the holy grail for serious numismatists. But there's even more. In some cases, errors during the minting process turned ordinary coins into rare collectibles. One of the most famous examples connected to the 1958 penny is the 1958 double die obverse, where the date and lettering appear double due to a misalignment during minting. These errors are incredibly rare and almost impossible to find in circulation today, but if you happen to own a 1958 penny with an error, or one in stunning uncirculated condition, you could be holding on to a gold mine. These aren't just collectible, they're prized. Auction houses have seen collectors go head-to-head for coins like this, driving prices higher than you'd ever imagine for a single cent. And now, the part you've been waiting for. How much could a 1958 wheat penny actually be worth? In one remarkable case, a flawless example of a 1958 penny, with superb strike, exceptional preservation, and that coveted error variety, was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping total of $56,000. That's right. A single copper penny, worth just 1 cent when it was minted, is now worth more than some luxury vehicles, just because it was struck perfectly and preserved with care. So what's the lesson here? Never underestimate the coins you find in your pocket, in your drawers, or tucked away in an old jar. That tiny 1958 penny could be the key to a small fortune. Today's video takes us into the heart of American coin history with one of the most iconic pennies ever minted, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. It's small in size, easy to overlook, and often tossed aside. But don't be fooled, this penny could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Get ready, because we're about to reveal how a single copper coin from the 1950s could turn into a rare and valuable find, and why the 1957 wheat penny is more than just loose change. Let's start by turning back the clock to the late 1950s. America was a land of booming suburbs, rock and roll, and a growing middle class. And amid all this cultural transformation, everyday Americans were spending and saving coins just like the one we're talking about today. The 1957 wheat penny was one of the last to feature the famous wheat ears on its reverse, a design that had been in circulation since 1909, honoring the legacy of President Abraham Lincoln. Now, take a close look at this little coin. On the front, or obverse, we see Lincoln's timeless portrait, facing right. Above his head, the motto, "In God We Trust," arches across the top. On the left, the word "Liberty" stands tall, and to the right, the date, 1957, is struck clearly into the copper. Just beneath that date, depending on where it was minted, you might find a small D for Denver or no mint mark at all, which means it came from Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with two graceful wheat stalks, curving around the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. At the top, the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, reminds us of the unity behind the American story. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny may seem ordinary, but it marks a critical point in U.S. coinage. Just 2 years later, in 1959, the reverse design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial, ending the era of the wheat penny forever. That gives the 1957 penny a unique place in numismatic history. It's one of the final chapters in a design that collectors deeply admire. So what makes a 1957 penny truly valuable? It's all about rarity, condition, and detail. Over 1.3 billion of these coins were produced, yes, billion with a B, so most 1957 pennies you come across will be common, worn, or scratched. They'll have spent decades in circulation, passed through countless hands, vending machines, and piggy banks, but among those billions, a small handful were preserved in pristine condition. We're talking about coins that never entered circulation, coins that stayed locked away in rolls or coin folders, untouched by time. These are referred to as mint state pennies. With no signs of wear, strong luster, and perfect strike, they're what collectors dream about, even more exciting. Some of these coins may have minting errors, and that's where things get really interesting. A famous example to look out for is the doubled die, where parts of the coin's design, like the date or lettering, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These errors are extremely rare, and when they show up on a 1957 penny, they drive up the value significantly. You might also come across off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or other unique flaws. To the average eye, these may look like imperfections. But in the world of coin collecting, they're golden opportunities, turning an everyday penny into a museum-worthy collectible. So where does that leave you, the viewer? Maybe you've got a jar of old coins. Maybe you inherited a box from your grandparents. Or maybe you just stumbled upon a 1957 wheat penny while going through spare change. Take a close look. Does it shine like it's brand new? Is the strike crisp, the detail sharp? Do you see any unusual doubling or odd features? Because while most 1957 pennies are worth only a few cents, the rarest, highest grade examples, the kind that make professional collectors stop in their tracks, have reached astounding prices at auction. In one unforgettable case, a near-perfect 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, in immaculate mint state condition and featuring a dramatic die error, was sold to a passionate collector for a staggering total of $52,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin, pocket change from the 1950s, valued today at more than the cost of a luxury car. So next time you see a copper penny from the 1950s, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light, study its surface, and remember, in the world of coins, even the smallest piece can carry incredible value. Today, we're going deep into the fascinating history of the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny, a classic piece of American currency that many overlook, but the smart collector knows it might just be a golden opportunity in disguise. So grab your magnifying glass, dust off those old coin jars, and stay tuned, because what seems like an ordinary penny could be hiding some extraordinary secrets. Let's rewind to 1949. The Second World War had ended just 4 years earlier, and America was moving into a period of rebuilding, growth, and optimism. People were buying homes, raising families, and dropping these little copper coins into jukeboxes, payphones, and candy machines. 1 cent back then could buy a piece of gum or a handful of peanuts, but today, that same penny could be worth far more than any of us ever imagined. On the front of the coin, the proud and steady profile of President Abraham Lincoln stands out, a tribute to one of the most respected figures in American history. This design, introduced in 1909 to mark Lincoln's 100th birthday, became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the tradition of abstract figures like Lady Liberty. The obverse also features the famous motto, "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty" to Lincoln's left, and the date, 1949, to the right, just below which, you may see a small letter, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. No mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the iconic wheat ears design that gives the wheat penny its name. Arched between the two stalks of wheat are the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the very top, you'll spot the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a powerful reminder of America's unity through diversity. While the design itself is beloved by collectors, what truly elevates the 1949 wheat penny from pocket change to prized possession is condition and rarity. Let's talk about condition first. The majority of these coins spent decades being handled, passed around, and worn down. But in rare cases, a few coins were carefully stored away, never used in commerce. These uncirculated examples, known in the numismatic world as mint state, retain their sharp details, original luster, and perfect surfaces. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Even the slightest scratch or discoloration can make a difference of thousands of dollars. Now, let's add another layer, minting errors. These are the holy grail for collectors. Some 1949 wheat pennies show signs of double striking, where the die hit the coin more than once, creating a visible doubling effect on letters or numbers. Others may have off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even die cracks. These imperfections are not mistakes, they're treasures. They make your coin unique, and that uniqueness can make it incredibly desirable to the right collector. You might be asking, how do I know if I have a valuable 1949 wheat penny? Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, and the overall surface. Is there any doubling? Any unusual features? Does the coin shine like it's never been touched? If you think you've got something special, a professional coin grading service can confirm it. The 1949 penny may not be the rarest wheat penny, but when it comes in pristine condition, with an error or an unusually high grade, it can become the centerpiece of a serious collection. Most 1949 pennies are worth only a few cents or maybe a couple of dollars in circulated condition. But the rare few, the elite mint state coins with flawless features or dramatic errors, have stunned collectors at auctions. One such coin, a spectacular 1949 wheat penny in near-perfect condition, sold for an incredible sum to an eager bidder. And the final price? Hold on tight, because that single copper coin sold for an astounding $68,000. That's right. A 1-cent piece, barely larger than a button, brought in a value that could buy a luxury car or even a small home. So next time you come across a wheat penny, don't just pass it off as pocket change. It might be one of those rare survivors of time, a forgotten gem, hiding right in your hands. Search your coin jars, check those old albums, and take a closer look. You never know what story, or what fortune, is waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating coin stories, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a future upload. Have you ever found a rare wheat penny? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your discovery. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. Happy collecting!